Hello, winners, and welcome to Two for the Win with your hosts, Nick and Will. We have an interesting treat for our winners today. One of our favorite segments on Monday is to do quotes and quips, but we're going to do a little hybrid with quotes, but with a pop culture flavor. Intrigued? Just wait, we have more. But first, please be sure to subscribe, share, and follow Two for the Win on your favorite platform. I want to give a shout out to nickmenard.com and the 1% Push, as well as his best-selling Amazon book, Mindset is My Degree. Thank you, Nick Menard.
You're welcome. Hello, winners. Happy Monday.
Hey. So, the little different. So we'll see. We'll see how the feedback is on this. But we are going to cite some of our favorite movie quotes that relate to leadership and mindset. And so we're just going to throw out some different ones and talk a bit about it. And hopefully it's a little different vibe and you find it not only fun, but also insightful. So any high-level thoughts you want to share before we dig in?
I mean, music and movies are usually the big inspiration for a lot of people. And so we thought about what could we do in order to spice it up a little bit and maybe change the style for a few episodes maybe. And you had a great idea. You came up with that, and I love it. But again, we will know if it's something that you guys are interested.
Yeah, if we have one download of the podcast, we know it probably didn't work.
I think we're gonna have a lot more than that.
I do
but
too.
but yeah, and also it's funny because for the first time we talked about it like a couple of days ago, and so we had a couple of days to think about some movies and some line, and then I was googling some movie that I really liked about like that can inspire people, and I realized that, oh my god, I forgot about those lines. And so yeah, so that was also interesting to get back into it. And I know a couple of movies I want to rewatch now that I saw all those quotes. So yeah, more to come, but there's a lot of nice one-liners.
I know, it should be fun. So we're not actually going to do the quotes and quips segment because we're going to be quoting movies the whole time and just tie it into leadership and mindset principles. So would you like the honors?
I can definitely have the honors.
All
Thank you
right.
so much if you want to give it to me.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely. So I again, when I was first thinking about it, I thought about a couple of movies that came directly at top of my mind. First was any given Sunday, which is one of my all-time favorite movie, and I will never forget the halftime segment when Al Pacino
The inches speech.
is remotivating everybody during halftime, and the difference between the players coming in and coming out is just insane. But it's not a quote, it's going to be 10-15 minutes, so I didn't want to do that. I was thinking also that Walls of Wall Street with Leonardo DiCaprio, which they have fabulous lines that maybe not like kids friendly,
What to do and sometimes what not to do. Right?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and then I thought that a different ones as well. But when it comes to any given Sunday, there's a lot of quote about inches, so it can be interpreted different way. But I love this one in particular. Either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals. So this is a line from Al Pacino at some point during the movie, and it's amazing because when you think about it, it is actually what we talk about every Monday. Like when you are in leadership, it's not about you, it's about your team. All right. And so here is actually what the quote is all about. You need to do a lot for your team. If your ego is too big, you will fail as a person, as an individual. So this quote spoke volume to me because it's true in sport, it's true in business, it's true in relationships, it's true in everything. So what do you think about this quote?
I love it. I think it is so true. And he's absolutely right, especially in a team sport. And business is a team sport. Unless you're a solopreneur, you're working with others and trying to make things happen. And in fact, I would say the speech as a whole, but that is my favorite quote from that movie because it says a lot without having to say a lot, which I always like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
turn. Give us one of the quote that spoke volume to.
Well, I'm going to, since you went with that, I'm going to pick another sports movie. And this one, so this one involves an actor who recently passed. So pour one out for Gene Hackman. But he was in my all-time favorite basketball movie, Hoosiers. And of course, I'm dating myself. But when I was a kid and I got that movie and I saw it, I must have wore out the VHS tape at the time. I played it like I just love that movie. And actually, I've showed it to my boys a couple of times because I think there's a lot of really good principles in that movie. But the quote in that movie is Gene Hackman is a coach from a big city. He got suspended because he punched a player. So off the radar, goes to some super small town in Indiana where basketball is life and takes over the team. And let's just say the community is not welcoming him with open arms. And he's trying to instill his method of play. And they were trying to just keep feeding the ball to a certain player. And he's like, no. So the quote is 5 players on the floor functioning as one single unit, team, 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 no one more important than the other. And the reason why I like it, and it kind of ties into the quote you just said with any given Sunday, is as a team, everyone has the role to play. You have your superstar performers, you have your solid middle, you have sometimes people who aren't holding up their end and they're on the bench. But everyone has a role to play. Like in basketball, I know you're a professional basketball player in Europe. You have your scorers, you have your rebounders, you have your defensive people, you have your energy, the people who make those plays that don't always show up on the stat sheet. And sometimes people do multiple of those things. But everybody, if you have a high performing team, they usually are playing their roles well.
Good mix.
Yeah, they're not getting jealousy and stuff. So anyway, I always like that, and I just wanted to give a shout out to Hoosiers, especially because fortunately Gene Hackman just passed away not too long ago.
No, it's true. It's true. It was a beautiful, amazing movie. I remember in that movie when the player that was a top player and he didn't want to understand or agree about this principle, but things turned out for the best at the end. But it took time. So the good lesson when you are a leader and the team may not be understanding some of the change coming up with your new leadership, as long as you explain the why, which he did here by saying the team 1st, and then results start happening, that's where you get the team's buy-in. But sometimes it doesn't happen day one. So stick with your belief as long as your belief is the right place, and then you will go further in sport, but the same in business.
And one other real quick thing about that movie, which is probably more telling about my early coaches that I had for basketball. That was a movie that taught me to have a fast break without ever letting the ball hit the floor. Would be perfection. I didn't get it from one of my coaches. I got it from that movie.
Here we go. So you see, if you want to excel in something, just watch sports movie.
Yeah, there we go.
You may go further in life. No, I love it.
How about you?
So I have another quote here. It's from the other movie that I mentioned earlier. So the Wolf of Wall Street. I love this one because it's so direct, and I can see him saying that in the movie, and I love it. The only thing standing between you and your goal is the bullshit story you keep telling yourself as to why you can't achieve it. And that's something that literally, maybe not daily, but weekly, I can refer to that quote in something happening in my life. And I sometimes look in the mirror, what you put in your head, it's usually what block you in anything. Like nothing is impossible, but you cannot. And there is a couple of the quotes in that movie, and I may share that later as well. But it's very important to understand that what you share, what you say out loud about yourself, your brain may not know that it's a joke or it's something you said. So never say something negative about yourself out loud, because your brain listens to it. And I mentioned a few times, I believe in the law of attraction, the secrets and all that. And this is literally saying, Stop BS yourself and stop putting things that should not be in your mind because it's gonna dictate part of your life. And you don't want that. And if you remember in the movie, if you never saw the movie, by the way, you need to watch it. But that movie is phenomenal because he's arrogant, he has his style, but he believes in himself and he believes that anything is possible, and he believes that he is already there even before being there because of his belief of himself is so high, but he works his ass off. Like in that movie, something we can say about DiCaprio, even in his life, this actor is working his ass off to get where he's at. From the Basketball Diaries when he was a teen to his career, it's insane, and he can really change his personality from movie to movie. Probably one of the best actor ever. And this is in that movie he portrayed this very well of the perfect salesman, like to another level. And he teach how to do it step by step. He leads by example. So all movie it's about, look, I will show you how to do it. So he doesn't tell people what they should do. He showed them how with his style, which is not always by the book, but he gets stuff done.
Well, and yeah, totally agree. And I think, you know, the thing about him, because you've always talked about the importance of mentorship. If you remember that movie, he had a certain paradigm going to work for the stockbroker until he went to that lunch with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
And Matthew McConaughey's like, it's a fugazi, it's a fugazi, you know, and that shifted his paradigm. Because remember, he was like, oh, no, we want to give value. We want to give returns. He's like, no, you want to move the money from your client's pocket to your pocket. And that shifted his paradigm on that one. So I'm not necessarily saying that was a good ethical, moral mentor, but it goes back to the power of mentorship. I mean,
again, for me, if you summarize that, it's literally self-limiting belief are the real obstacles.
So I was part of a panel at the company we work for. I know you were on vacation. You weren't able to go. But yeah, I know. You were so sad. I'm sure that you missed it. But one of the things I shared with the group is, and I really honestly believe this, that every single one of us have a seed of greatness. And I said, it may not be in the role you're in, or it may not be the role you want, but there is a seed of greatness. And I said, what usually prevents us from nurturing and growing that seed is the negative chatter in between our ears.
There you go.
And it's right with what you're saying. And it's so true, because just speaking from personal experience, I just had a situation the other day where I was trying to do something, encountered some roadblocks, wasted time. All of a sudden, I'm starting to get into this funk. But the difference between me today and me, say, 20 years ago is I caught it. I realized it, and I'm like, all right, now this is what I have to do to get out of it. And the number one thing I did was start taking action with the thing I was frustrated with. So it's kind of like the obstacle is the way. And I got after it. Now, not right away. It took me like 2 hours. And you know, where I was in this sour mood and everything. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to go down this path. And I started taking action. And then all of a sudden, boom, I got a lot of positive traction with the thing where I was banging my head against the wall. So again, goes back to be self-aware of the mental chatter, because you're absolutely right. There is science where they've proven that the mind cannot discern the difference between reality and what goes on in your subconscious. It treats them all as real. You know, however you want to define real. I don't want a philosophical thing, but there is a lot of power to that, and you're right. Self-limiting beliefs.
Yeah, before we move on,
Sure.
I had 2 quotes for that movie, so I will go to the second one very quickly. Yeah. And it's a little bit harsh, but I love it. Sometimes you need to. I want you to deal with your problems by becoming rich.
Yeah, there we go.
So the reason I know it's a little bit extreme, but if you flip the lens, and it speaks to taking aggressive ownership of the future. So what it means by that, it's pretty much what we share just right now again. But it's very important that you put yourself in the shoes of what you want to become and accomplish before you are there. If is the most important, you are putting the work into it to get there. But if you know that the work will be done, no one will be able to stop you. Put yourself in the shoes and the mindset of becoming be that person already before becoming it.
Mm-hmm.
And with work and consistency, you will get it faster.
Yes.
And so I love that one.
Yeah, and that ties into your manifestation comment. Like a lot of times people, they misinterpret things like The Secret or different things because it's almost like they're wishing for something versus acting as if you're already that person,
I have
right?
another quote after yours. I will go to another movie that's actually about that.
Oh, there we go. Cool. Then I will stop. So one of my favorite, there's certain movies that I really like the movie, but within the movie, there's a character who just steals, in my mind, the whole movie, and they basically don't have much time in the movie. One of those is Boiler Room. And so the person who steals the movie for me in Boiler Room is Ben Affleck. And Ben Affleck maybe has 6 minutes of screen time in that movie. But the stuff he says and does in those 6 minutes, I'm like, oh my gosh. So this one is Ben Affleck. He's talking to the new recruits for the stock company that they're with, and they're not doing well. Most of them are not doing well, except for the main character who's actually doing well. And he says, there is no such thing as a no sale call. A sale is made on every call you make. Either you sell the client some stock, or he sells you a reason he can't. Either way, a sale is made. The only question is who's going to close, you or him. Now be relentless. That's it. I'm done. And he slams the chair and walks out. And there's another quote similar to that in the movie Glenn Ross that that is said that's very similar. Like there's a sale made on every call. You're either going to believe what they're telling you, or you're going to find a way to show a path forward of a solution and get them to buy your product or service.
Do you have, and I put you on the spot there, based on this, I'm pretty sure you do, I know you. Do you have an example for a listener of something you applied based on this quote?
Oh, yeah. Well, I talk about it indirectly a lot with my leadership team or with associates. Like when you think about a fixed mindset. Now we're in customer success, right? And client success. And so sometimes there's clients that are tough to get a hold of. And you know, a lot of times it takes perseverance and grit to make the breakthrough. So I think, you know, you can apply it to almost anything in life. If you're not getting the traction or the success, whether it's with an individual situation or a broader situation, again, going back to what we were just talking about, a lot of times it's probably self-limiting beliefs. You're believing the negative chatter going on inside your head versus if you approach it like in this situation, like if you're like, okay, this person said no to whatever it is. No is, if you take no as rejection, it'll stifle you. If you take no as feedback, it's okay, it's feedback. So what I said, I haven't articulated the value well enough. I haven't uncovered their pain points well enough. I haven't really showcased the thing in a way to get them to pivot from a no to a yes. So if you treat rejection as feedback and not take it as a personal attack, much healthier.
Yeah, and as we discussed in one of our episodes about feedback, you know, there are different ways to take feedback, but they usually always have one thing within the feedback that you can take away and apply to you and to your daily, day-to-day, or to your leadership style or anything like that. So I agree. Feedback is the easiest way to progress if you actually take ownership of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Love it. Love it. The next one, it's a quote from a movie from, I think it was in 2014 or 15 or something like that. Is The Pursuit of Happiness.
Oh, yeah. Another good one. That's based on a true story.
It's 2000. No, it's before I moved to the US. So it's probably more 2005 or something.
Will Smith.
Yeah, absolutely. And he said something to his son. And this is something that is very powerful. And that's stay in line. I mean, we have a red line in this episode, you know, like it's everything comes back to what we've done. And it's about growth mindset, perseverance, belief, and all of that. But don't ever let somebody tell you can't do something.
You can't do something.
Not even me.
Yes.
And
I remember that
and-
scene
and this, yeah,
towards the end of the movie.
All right.
So this is powerful from an adult to a kid, but it can be from as a leader. It's powerful if you say something like this. Like if you ever quote me saying that you can't do something or you're not able to do something, don't listen to me on that time. Prove me wrong, kind of thing. But it's powerful because it's from a dad to his young son.
Oh, yeah.
Because we tend the ego again to believe that you need to listen to me. You need to listen to me because you are the child. And in this interaction, he realized that everybody have their limitations, but you cannot listen to someone you have the highest regard to, your dad, usually when you are a young son, and believe what he says if he says that you cannot do something. And so I thought it was powerful, and it's something I wanted to share.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's true. And we talked about this in a previous podcast episode when we talked about your circle of influence, the 5 people you hang around with. More often than not, creativity, entrepreneurship, success, however you want to define it, people fall short because they listen to friends or family members who think they have their best interests at heart, but basically they're embodying the crab theory. And the crab theory is you throw a bunch of crabs in a bucket. The crabbers never put a lid on the bucket. You ever wonder why? Well, when one crab goes up, the other ones are trying to get up and they pull the other one down. They never get out. And it's the same thing. People have, it's not malicious intent. They have good intent. They think they're protecting you, but actually what they're doing is inhibiting you. And if you allow them to.
Yeah. And people cannot, and the problem with parenting, I said the same thing. I loved my dad. He passed, but he was, he had a great career, but he was an employee of his life. So when he saw me going into being an entrepreneur, it scared him. So he said, Nick, you have a great job. Why would you leave the job to try to build a business? That made absolutely zero sense to him. And it's not that he was negative towards me. He didn't want me to be successful, but he didn't believe it was possible because he never did it. And he sees people failing a lot. And at that time, I didn't listen to him. And I actually used this as a, I mean, if you read the book, you will understand the story. But that's why I actually it gave me even more willingness to succeed, to prove him wrong. And, if you read the book, you will realize that at some point after a couple of years, he joined me in my venture. So it's not that he was negative, that he didn't believe in me. He didn't believe it was possible. And he knew I had a great job, job, just over broke. And so why are you leaving something that you have like a paycheck every month while you take a risk for something that maybe would not work? Well, end up going that I was making 4 or 5 times what I was making as an employee within 2 years. And if we start taking a risk, I would have not failed, but I would have not succeed. And that's something I said a lot of times. So, yeah.
Yeah. No, and that is a powerful part of your book as well. And so true. So true. I had very similar experience with my dad.
They mean
good
well.
intentions.
They mean well.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, good intentions, but yeah, it's just their paradigm is just different. They're viewing things differently. All right. So the shirt I'm wearing has a quote, and it says, "Don't dream it, be it." Do you know the movie?
I do remember that quote, but the title I don't remember.
So this is going way back, and people who listen to this show are probably like, "I can't believe he's citing a quote from this particular movie." The Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
And so it reminded me. So I had one of my teammates who actually had the lead role of playing Frankenfurter in Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, wow.
Christina, one of our winner listeners, and her husband came, and so did Sarah. Invited me to go see it, and had this line, and I liked it. I went and bought the T-shirt afterwards to get it. And the reason why I like it is, and it's funny. This theme of this episode is a lot about manifestation, mindset, and stuff. And that's what this is referring to, right? It's like, yeah, it's great to have dreams. You got to have something that inspires you to rise above and go after something. But don't just dream it, be it. And it's going back to your manifestation. So don't think of yourself as, oh, wow, how great it would be to be affluent, or how great it would be to whatever, build a business or earn promotions or whatever. Act as if you're already that person. And you'll get a lot more traction that way than just wishing and hoping.
Exactly. And I love this because because it's true. The way you talk to yourself is the way manifestation work. And so I agree. I mean, I think that we don't we we were prepared to talk each about our favorite I mean, not favorite movie, but the favorite quotes of movies about, leadership mindset kind of thing. But we didn't really realize that we would literally go all to the same thing, which is fantastic. And that's
Yeah.
why I love to not have everything pre-prepared,
Yeah.
because otherwise it's not the same. But I hope you get value to it. And I have another one. It's about, grit and resilience.
Okay.
That the movie that every single person on earth saw. It's Rocky Balboa.
Oh,
From that movie, he said, "It ain't about how hard you hit; it's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward."
yep.
Again, very known quote, but it is so true. And again, it's the book. The book it's all about that. Like, you will have challenges. You will have in life. Every single person who is listening to this episode know that they have instances in their life where they felt, I cannot do this anymore, or they want to quit, or anything like that. I watched a UFC fight a few weeks ago, fight night, and the interview was powerful. It was that lady who got the belt, Kayla Harrison. I
Oh,
think.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
and,
former
and,
Olympian.
and I loved her quote. So she just she's not beat her opponent who was champ, and she became world champ, and she had like 2 gold Olympic medal in the past in judo. And she said on Thursday, so the fight was Saturday. She said on Thursday, I thought multi-time to quit. Why? Because, as you probably know, you need to cut weight. And she believed that the last pound, she could not get rid of the last pound. And she was crying, and she said, I cannot lose that last pound. So even if I win, I don't get the belt. And of course, she used the fact that, I'm not saying that negatively, but she's very religious. So she called on God to help her lose that last pound, and she lose that last pound. But by that, she truly 2 days before the fight thought of giving up because it was too hard.
Right.
She could not get rid of it. But she persevered, and she didn't give up. And her way to not give up is her religion,
faith.
is faith,
Yeah.
which is perfectly fine. But whatever it is for you, use that resilience, because if she would have quit, she would have had the belt 2 days later.
Right.
And guess what? She got to the weight to a few grams, and then she won the belt now. And I'm pretty sure she's going to be a champ for a few years, because there's no way someone beat her. But
she's impressive.
But it's and she's going to fight Nunez next, so it's going to be interesting. But it's beautiful, and it's amazing that you have the power to not giving up.
Right.
The only person who can give up is you.
Yeah.
And so don't let that happen. Like, persevere, continue. Don't listen to the negativity. Learn from it. Learn from your mistake. Learn from your failure, and you just come back stronger and better. And I think it was a powerful story, but also from Rocky Balboa.
Oh, yeah.
He
The
fell a lot of
crazy
time.
thing about that movie was his worst Rocky movie, Rocky 5. But that scene, again, with his son, he's talking to his son about that. And that scene, is probably one of the more powerful scenes of all the Rocky movies. And it's contained in the worst performing Rocky movie he made, which is interesting, right?
I know.
Just goes to show.
I know.
You don't judge a book by its cover.
Absolutely.
All that. So I think we need to do a part 2.
Yeah, I think so too, because
Yeah.
I have a few more that I want to share, but
Yeah.
we are way past time.
Yeah. So let's do a part 2 next week. So if you like this, winners, you're definitely want to tune in next week. If you didn't really care for it, tune in next week anyway, because you might like the quotes after all, so that we use from the movie. But either way, be sure to subscribe, share, and follow 2 for the Win on your favorite platform, including on YouTube. And again, a big shout out to nickmenard.com, the 1% push, and his Amazon best-selling book, Mindset is My Degree. That'll do it for this week, winners. We'll see you next week and add a little more pop culture flavor into it. Take care.
Bye, winners.
Take care.